Business world. Now, today's topic is a very interesting and inspiring one: social entrepreneurship and social responsibility in the business world. It's a very challenging path to choose, but lucky for us, there are those who think of others in the world more than they think of themselves. In my opinion, they are the sort of heroes in the business world. My guest was Serra Titiz, founder and director of Mikado Consulting. Hopefully, listening to her words will inspire you to act as it has inspired me.
A social entrepreneur is someone who sees a social problem and feels the urge to make a move about it, to make a good change about that society which has a problem. And it's a rising trend in Turkey too. For the last 2 years especially, universities are holding programs to trigger social entrepreneurship notion in the youth especially. And there are very valuable social entrepreneurs in Turkey as well, especially I think at most 30 people right now are named as social entrepreneurs. It has a big difference with a normal entrepreneur. A social entrepreneur also is an entrepreneur because he or she is taking risks, and it's not so easy because you're alone actually. But it has a social cause. It doesn't have any feeling of making profits. It's just for the good of the people. Of the people, exactly.
Okay, and I think it's a very difficult thing to do, right? And you have to understand society very well.
Exactly, you have to be. Actually, it would be great if you're coming from the civil society, or if you worked with the civil society or with NGOs or with the society itself, and you should have an expertise on one or many issues. And then you should focus on your expertise and make a change using your expertise. So, I mean, it's not so easy. I mean, you can't just get a training for a week and then become a social entrepreneur. It's a long way, and you're alone, you know. At the beginning, no one actually believes in you, maybe. They think you're crazy. Actually, they call social entrepreneurs unreasonable people.
I love that.
Yeah, in the world. So, but I think it's very important for the future of the whole world, because the world is sick right now, you know. And there are many social problems that they need
support,
intrusion, you know, from people who are social entrepreneurs. I mean, they're kind of the saviors of.
Yeah, they're the heroes of the world.
Exactly.
No, and I think it's a very difficult path to be in. I mean, doing something that's non-profit, trying to get a lot of people to support the cause, and understanding what the needs are.
And people don't understand why, you know, you're doing this. And last year, actually, there was an international social entrepreneurship conference in Istanbul. We've organized it. I was in the organization team with INSEAD Business School and Sabancı University.
Nice.
So people from all around the world, social entrepreneurs who are heroes in their countries, they came to Istanbul.
Wow.
And social entrepreneurs from Turkey were present there. So it was very impressive to listen to those people's stories. They're inspiring others, so I think it's very valuable.
Yeah, I think it's a very inspirational. You're one of the most inspirational people that has been inside business, because, you know, when we're talking about business, it's usually about profit, it's about, you know, making money. Obviously, we're talking about currencies all the time, but just doing some business in the cause of, you know, non-profit organizations is amazing. So tell us how developed this is in Turkey in comparison to the world.
There are different models you can be in. Like, you can be an NGO, you can be a not-for-profit company, you can be even a company and create social benefit. Mine, Mikado Consulting, is a social enterprise. It's a company with having no profit orientation, but actually in Turkey there is no legal ground for this.
Wow.
So we are a company, we're paying all our taxes, but everything we're doing is for social benefit. So it's not just, I think. But I mean, there are some organizations working to establish this new legal structures, because we need all social entrepreneurs in Turkey need some like triggering and promoting structures, you know, to be in, because it's not so easy.
Right.
Mikado has a unique structure actually. It's a company. Focusing on sustainable development, and it has three main fields of activity. One is we think that sustainable development, a community's development, can't be happening without the private sector.
Right.
The private sector has to be responsible. So this is our one of the fields we're in. So we're working with companies. We help them, we support them, developing their sustainability strategies. Under these strategies, helping them establish their community investment programs. The second field is NGOs. We believe that a sustainable and transparent civil society matters a lot for a community's good. So we're helping NGOs build their capacity and to measure their social impact, monitoring, evaluation. This is also very important.
It's very important to be able to measure it, right?
Measure, yeah, exactly. And the third field is social innovation. Actually, social innovation is embedded in everything we're doing, but we still see it as a separate title because we also develop our own projects that we conduct in-house, Mikado.
Nice.
So we have a project like this called Future is Brighter. So, I mean, these three main fields create synergy in between. At the beginning, for example, people were telling me, you should concentrate on one thing, not the whole three things, because each of them are very
large,
exactly. So, but I was always believing that, I mean, if we do all these three together, we will create greater social benefit. The impact will be much bigger. So, and it came true actually. This September, it's going to be 4 years that the company is alive. And we're still surviving. It wasn't easy. The first 3 years were very difficult because you're trying to explain yourself. They don't understand why you're a not-for-profit, why you don't intend to get profits, or sustainability, corporate responsibility. The knowledge level was very little. So we also had the mission to explain to people and to create the demand for it. Nice. So it was very challenging, actually.
Very challenging.
Yeah, but it's very great, actually, because I mean it's satisfying you from the
fulfilling.
Yeah,
very satisfying. Yeah. I wish I could say I would get such satisfaction, but I think it's almost impossible unless you're like saving somebody's life.
Yeah,
you know, to get this kind of feeling.
And making a change in people's lives and being able to see it and to measure it. I think this is the best output we're creating, and this is how we can manage to survive, because I mean we are a small team doing many things at the same time. So this is the driving force, probably.
Okay.
I think.
So tell us a little bit about how these projects are done, what can be done, what is needed.
Each field of activity are, you know, very big in itself. If we take sustainability,
okay.
For example, I mean in Turkey the level of the knowledge level is a bit shallow, because people think that corporate social responsibility or social responsibility equals to a company is making a social project with an NGO and that's it, or maybe sponsoring an NGO's project and that's it. It's not it, actually. It's not restricted to it, because sustainability means a company's existence taking into account ethical, transparent and accountable corporate governance, hand in hand with economical, social and environmental responsibilities. So a company in this business world now that is evolving, a company should take care of all these things, all these four headlines. And when you say social responsibility, it's not just about the community, it's also about your employees, it's also about the human resources, policies you have, you know, to improve the working environment, human rights, and your product responsibility, you know, ethical trading, like your supply chain. All this is included into social responsibility. It's not just the community part. When you say environmental responsibility, a company's activities are creating an ecological footprint.
Right.
And a company should be aware of this by measuring its carbon footprint and by taking measures to decrease the level of footprint.
Yeah, negative footprint.
Exactly.
And in Turkey, is this done? I mean, it seems like
there are only few companies who have this kind of knowledge, and there's another tool that's been used like for now 15-20 years in the world, which is called sustainability reporting or corporate responsibility reporting. This is like a tool. If you start integrating the sustainability strategy perspective into your operations, you also start to measure your performance. Mm-hmm. When you measure, you also put objectives and you try to reach these objectives.
Right.
So you need to measure, you know, the whole process, and sustainability reporting is actually serving this purpose. When you measure, you report everything and you share this with your stakeholders. And this is how you prove that you are aware and your intention is real, and you really want to improve your company's implementation on sustainability. So you use this report as a tool for improvement and a tool for communication. And in Turkey, only like 15 people, let's say, are reporting.
Wow, that's very, very
which
little.
is not bad. It's improving.
Yeah.
And there are some international standards you use when you do this reporting. And an international standard called Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, is being used mostly. And when you use this, actually, I mean, the group who is responsible in the company in doing all this stuff is getting very, very motivated. When you put objectives and you try to reach and make all the improvement plans in the company, you get very much motivated and you want to do more.
Right.
And also companies, for example, they see this as an opportunity, because it's not just to comply with what's needed in the world. It's also an opportunity to improve yourself. To build your capacity, to develop your capacity, and to be in line with the world's
standards,
expectations, and your customers' expectations, and your employees' expectations. Being a responsible company is like creating a competitive advantage. It's not just being responsible and giving to the community. It's a business strategy now. And
yeah, I think that's a big advantage now. Because in a global sense, I think the world is going to a point where people want these companies to be more aware of what they're doing.
And this didn't come up like all of a sudden, like in 10, 20 years. Actually, it has a whole history behind, like international contracts and United Nations, like also the Sustainable Development Summits happening every year, NGOs. There are some NGOs in the world, for example, watching companies' irresponsible behavior.
I see.
For example, NGOs boycotting, and also the civil society is getting much more important, because they're the voice of the people. In Turkey too, for the last 2-3 years, maybe you're also hearing like the HES projects, and the civil society is more active, and now companies, they have to take into account civil society much more. Before, because they were like, they weren't, the civil society wasn't present in strategy building. Now companies have to take into account their views. Before making an investment, for example, in a city or in an environment, you first, as a company, you first have to go and ask the opinion of the people living there and the NGOs active there. So NGOs are becoming partners of companies.
Which is
and
great.
Companies should do that to decrease the risks of reputation. So that's why I think the whole business terminology, the jargon, the speaking language, and the tools that are being used are changing. And we also see that, and there are new lists, for example, promoting this. Like companies who are more responsible, they're listed like responsible companies, so that there's a new...
Right, you want to get into that list.
Exactly, and because you can also attract social responsible investment. There's something called SRI, social responsible investment, and the percentage in the investment world is now 15%, and it's rising every day. So a company who is in that list has a chance, to get new kind of investment tools. Like, for example, FTSE or Dow Jones, these kind of indexes, that companies are trying to be in it. Now they have sustainability indexes. So companies who are behaving responsibly, who are reporting, who are really putting objectives and trying to reach these objectives, they can get in those lists and get new opportunities for investment.
Wow, good for them. I mean, that's good. That's good to hear. Just a little bit of positive side.
Yeah, because people before, they were thinking that why would I get into this? It's a responsibility to be a company and to recruit people. Of course, yes, that's right, but it's not restricted to it anymore. Because this is not just spending money to comply with something. This is the new business trend, the new business world, which is expecting companies to be more aware inside and outside. Inside with the employees and with all the activities which have an effect to the environment, and outside being a partner with the civil society.
And I think if everybody in the business world and all the consumers were aware of this, then the companies would be forced to actually be aware of what they're doing and take responsibility. This is also a
driving force, because the customers now, they want to see new products, innovation, like more green products. For example, think of yourself. When you go to a market, for example, you want to buy something, you see two products, the same functioning products next to each other, and one is helping a social cause, or one has an eco label, for example. Which one would you choose?
Of course,
the one which has an eco label. Of course, I mean, the customer is more aware, and they're expecting companies to be more, a part of the society, to be there. And I think social media has helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And thanks to social media, companies are more part of the society. They can be closer to the customer.
Yeah, it's interactive.
It's more interactive, and they use it to promote their new strategies, new products, And also the same social media is also helping irresponsible companies to be known from everyone. For example, the boycotts,
right?
Or the scandals that are happening in the private sector world. We can learn about them like in a second.
Definitely, we just tell our friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, one question: tell us a little bit more about what kind of projects are most needed in Turkey.
Many, of course, as you can imagine. I think companies should be more aware of this perspective, and they should start making projects not only with NGOs and helping this society, but also inside. Like, I'm having a more innovative production process, more energy efficient applications, in the production process. I mean, they can make more innovative solutions to increase their employees' personal development, stuff like that. But also community projects are very important. I also see some projects in Turkey that they spend a lot of money to PR, but the social benefit side is lagging behind. So this is a shame. Yeah. I think companies should make use of their own resources. If a company is expert on, I don't know, let's say energy sector, I think they should use this expertise and their employees. Employee volunteering is very important. Only few companies are doing this in Turkey. Employee volunteering plus the expertise of the company, the resources that the company has, should be canalized and transferred to the community. I think this is how more sustainable projects would be present, and I think those kind of projects should be promoted.
Like, I think there's a project ongoing, I think, in the United States, New York Cares, which is kind of based on what you're saying, with volunteer work and companies involved. So maybe these
companies, local management, like municipalities, are much more in everything now. I mean, because we now see that the world is not getting better. I mean, the population now is 7 billion, and by 2050 the population is going to get 9 billion. But we have the same world, and if we continue to consume this way and to behave this way, this world won't be enough, and it's so obvious now. So that's why now everyone is like, is trying to be a part of bettering the world. Like,
it's time to make a difference.
Exactly. The states, the countries, companies, individuals, municipalities, everyone, all institutions who have a power to make a change.
Yeah, I think the key is to be aware that you actually have that power.
Exactly. And being aware is important. It's the first step, but it's not enough.
Of course. That's the beginning.
Make an act.
Yeah.
You should act. And that's why I think state regulations are also very important. For example, you, me, and 100 people, we know that it's not getting better and we should do something good, but we don't know what to do.
Yeah,
or
how?
Even if we do know, we're only a bunch of people.
Right.
But if there's a state regulation, then everyone will have to comply with it, and a behavioral change will happen. Like in the world, there are some countries. In those countries, plastic bags are forbidden. In Turkey, Bozcaada, for example, is a good example now. Even if you want to, you can't use it. So, I mean, this is a change.
This is a very nice change.
I think these kind of driving, triggering regulations are also very important. Of course, individually we should also be aware and try to be like a responsible citizen, world citizen,
Right.
because a decision that I'm making is actually affecting the world. Now we see this much more than before. We're not alone in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like finish this interview and think about to make a list of what I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so that's what I was thinking individually. But if we want to give the information for businesses out there, if they want to do something, I mean, how could they go about doing that? Do they need to hire people? Could they, do they need to come to companies like you? What is the solution?
Actually, there are many ways to do it. I mean, many businesses, they already have implementations that apply to sustainability strategy. It's not a big deal. It's not so difficult, because some companies, they want to do it, but they think it's so difficult.
Right.
And they will need so much budget, to start doing stuff about sustainability strategy. It's not like that. It's not a big fear,
Okay.
So they should establish a committee, a sustainability committee, representing different departments in the company. And then they should start first, like make a screening of what they have and what they need to do. Of course, at the beginning, it would be good to have a consultant who is expert on this.
Right.
In this field, it would be good to work with someone like that. But ideally, the company should do this after a while by itself. It should be integrated. And reporting is a good tool, because using this international standard, as I mentioned before, you see what are the criteria of being a responsible company. So when you see those criteria, you know what you have to do. And you see what I have, what is missing, so I should comply with this. And trainings, I think companies should take trainings. There are trainings in Turkey. There are sustainability academies, sustainability trainings. We are also providing trainings inside the company, or open trainings. They should, I think, participate to those trainings and enlighten their vision, and then work with a consultant, and then ideally continue by themselves.
Okay, so be aware of what is needed and act now.